Okay. All right. You ready?
Hello, everybody. We are currently driving out to Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts, for our 4th travel nurse contract. And in this video, we are just going to chat a little bit about our most recent job search and how job searching went.
So to put it in perspective, this is currently March 2023, and we started searching from end of January 2023. We got the contract, I would say, the last week of February.
We probably started looking January 15th and got the contract. Probably took us 5 weeks at least.
January 20th, really.
Yeah, it took us over a month.
Yes.
Which is longer than normal. I think our last 3 contracts, it took us about maybe 2-3 weeks.
Right. So,
and this was us every day going on looking at jobs, not like seriously looking for 5 weeks.
So we ended up going through 4 agencies. I think in this scenario, with the current market, the more the merrier. Don't listen to anything the recruiter tells you. We
did have a recruiter tell us that we were using too many agencies.
That's not.
We just want to keep you.
Also, it's important to keep track of your submissions so you know who submitted you where.
You don't want to double submit,
because you can kind of get a lot. So this is our observation, and I feel like lots of people have had similar experiences looking for job beginning of the new year.
In 2023. This is right now. The job market's always changing, but 2023, go.
So I feel like there are a few factors. One is the beginning of the new year. So a lot of travel nurses take Christmas, New Year's off to spend time with family. So there are usually more people looking. Also, former staff nurses, ending your old job at the end of the year is kind of a clean cut, right? So most people in the new year start new jobs, new positions, yada yada. So that's one thing that's a factor in the weight. Second is the rate. So when we first started looking, most rates were in the 3,000-ish. By the time by late February, almost everything was between 200, between 300.
Over a span of 5 weeks.
Right. And you see a lot of this that a hospital will say they are going to pay 3,600 for 36 hours. And then the next day, they will post the same job for 2,800. And then the next day, then a week later, they'll post the same job for 3,000. So just from that price action, I think there is a bit of figuring out what the market is saying by the hospitals as well. They're testing different prices to see. And we really would have liked to go to Phoenix, but the big hospital there, which is all known, we're not going to mention them out here. Everybody knows the big hospital in Phoenix, Arizona area. They are notorious for canceling. So they'll hire a bunch of people at 3,600. Then they'll put out a job for 2,600, and then when the 2,600 people get hired, when they finish doing their background check and they are ready to start, they'll cancel all the 3,600 people. So that is a known fact. I think more and more hospitals are trying to figure out the bottom. I
mean, we saw a lot of hospitals that we would see for a day, and then a few days later we'd see them again. But a much lower rate.
Much lower rate. I feel like some people too, they kind of overplay their hand. If you're in nowhere, Wisconsin, and you try to pay a crappy wage, nobody's going to touch the job. So you see those two where they will start low, and all of a sudden it's all the way up. So it's a little bit of gamesmanship happening, just so you know.
I mean, they're testing the market because it's in kind of a transition, I would say, right now.
Of course, it's a transition. But if you talk to experienced travelers, they'll tell you that we have transitioned multiple times.
Yeah, this is always.
And this is a cycle. It's like the housing market up and down. Anyways. So also what I think is happening in the market is more and more hospitals are moving towards more internal contracts where they don't pay stipends but they pay higher hourly wages, and it's excellent for nurses who are local in the area, and that's happening quite a bit, and hospitals are trying to get rid of the middleman. Depends on who you talk to. Some people think that that is just in their ultimate plan to move everybody back to staff nursing, because what people say is the idea is they'll pay you $85 an hour, and then they will tell you next month everybody's wage is going down to 65. And since there are no longer agencies to like fight back, quote unquote, just whatever they say goes, and eventually they'll just pay you the same as they pay everybody else, but don't offer you any benefits. So that's what many people are saying, but only time will tell, right, if they are successful in it. Another big factor is more and more nurses are recruiting international nurses to come work for them, and I mean, great for the nurses. I really am glad that people can come to America and work and change the lives of their family, and I'm also like happy that those units get staff, you know. But again, like, the problem with nursing as it is that it's not a long-term job. I feel like even Jesus Christ will be burnt out. So even those new people they are getting are literally on their way out as well. So they like, it's like trying to quench a fire from inside the house. It's like, you know, pouring, I don't know, a cup of water into the ocean. You're really not doing a whole lot. It may seem like you are, but in 2-3 years time, the same factors that push everybody out will still push these people out, right? So, and then there are lots of like demographic changes too in nursing. Lots of like baby boomers, older nurses that are leaving the bedside, of course, and a lot of younger nurses that are leaving the bedside. I saw a picture one time, if I find it I'll link it up here, of the different jobs nurses can have, and it's absolutely amazing. You can work for Disney World, you can work on a cruise ship, you can work like in a gazillion and one places. You can work for companies doing workman's comp. Like, it's just like amazing. So the pool of bedside used to be higher wages. Well, all those companies also need nurses, so the wages have crept up a little bit. And then people are like, why am I working this irritating job when I can just go to be a school nurse and make similar amounts of money? So there's that conversation happening too. So I feel like, considering most of these trends, I don't think that travel nursing would disappear. I feel like the rates won't be COVID rates for sure, but I feel like they will settle, in my opinion, at like around 3,000-ish in places that people need a contract to go to, like Upper Midwest.
There are hospitals, I feel, that will just forever have travel nurses.
Correct.
Like, there's hospitals that, I mean, we've worked at that just have such giant staffing gaps. There's no amount of staff living in that area to cover it. Like, it's impossible.
Right, especially in the Upper Midwest, where they have like older people, so people live, a lot of older people comparative to like younger people. So the gaps in staffing is just like, you can't even imagine like filling it with just regular nurses. So that's a big challenge. I think though, but places like Austin, Texas, and the Carolinas, not South Carolina, but like North Carolina, those kind of places that people want to be, I feel like rates there will constantly be depressed. Because because like even Phoenix, you could argue, like Arizona, because people want to go there already, so like there's the demand to go there, so it will probably depress the rates. People like to talk about California, but I mean, most California hospitals pay very well anyways, so it's kind of like one of those things too. So it truly just depends on how the wind blows, I guess, in this area.
So like we said before, we worked with many agencies. We even signed up with some new ones this time, and we just let the recruiters know, like, from the start, like, we're working with multiple agencies, and most of them know that. They kind of expect you to do that. And then once we got a contract, we let them all know right away, just thanks for working with us. But we signed a contract. We'll let you know when we're looking again. In this market, what I think we finally had to figure out to do, or what was important, was to broaden our search. So we looked in places that we weren't super excited to go, but we were like, you know, it would be okay. We are actually doing day shift, which we have not done since like our first 6 months of being nurses. That we are actually doing, and we did look for different hospitals in the same city and considered commuting, which was something that we hadn't considered in the past. So just, you gotta broaden your search, you gotta compromise a little bit when the job search market is kind of, I guess, like this. Another thing, very important, is to keep a good standing with the past hospitals that you had a contract at. Never leave on a bad note. Keep the doors open.
If you can avoid it.
Yes, of course. But to always keep the door open, because what I've heard of a lot of people doing now is contacting hospitals that they've had a contract at before, contacting the manager, and that's how they've gotten the job. And that's actually what we're doing. We contacted our managers from our last call. Yep. And that's basically how we got this contract. It's because they knew us.
So related to that though, I've heard very unsubstantiated claims, but apparently there are some agencies offshore that use like button systems to automatically submit their nurses when job opens up. So what happened to us several times is the job would open like 5 minutes ago, and then they'll tell you that the position is filled, which is just strange. Also is making it difficult though, because hospitals are becoming overwhelmed by the amount of submissions they're getting. Like, I got a call yesterday from a job that I submitted to over a month ago, and he's like, I'm sorry I haven't called sooner, I've just been overwhelmed with applications. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, we've already got a contract. Like, so that's something to keep in mind too. We heard that that's happening more, so like the jobs are going away quicker, but that doesn't mean that the jobs will stick, because as you can imagine, the person that's auto submitting to 12 jobs, when they hear back, they're not going to take all 12, you know. So like that means the position will open up again, but it takes time for them to like relist it. So if you have an in with like a manager or someone that works there, they can just put your application first and then look at it. So it's just something to like keep in mind, I guess, going forward. But honestly, if you like stability, I feel like this is not the occupation. I mean, it never was. It never was, but now more than ever though, like if you like knowing what's happening in your life, I don't think this is it. Also too, I mean, it's always kind of been this way, but maybe now more than before, contracts really don't mean much to the hospital. Oh, right. They're not what the paper they are written on. Nothing. Right? So don't take it seriously. It's not real. Right. Don't take your contract as law, because it's, I don't know why we call it contract. Let's call it like loose agreement, because they can break or modify it based on their needs at any time. So just be aware, be flexible, and kind of know what you want to do, because it's possible you get there and they're like, we really don't need days, we need nights. So you know, okay, I'm just gonna go home. Yeah. So just so you know, you can always put in your 2 weeks. Basically. Move on with your life. Move on with your life. But the key, I think, right now is just flexibility. Just going with the flow, not taking anything too seriously, and definitely be flexible. Again, right? You are alive to lead, not to work. So work is not all you would ever do. So take the contract 13 weeks. After that, move on. You can do anything for 13 weeks. Peace out.